News America.
This is BBC News with me, Samantha Simmonds. The headlines. Russian-occupied regions in Ukraine hold votes on whether to join the Russian Federation. Kyiv says it's a sham which is doomed to fail. The Kremlin organises rallies to support its policy of calling up reserves to fight in Ukraine. Our correspondent samples the mood in Moscow.
This is not a spontaneous display of love for Vladimir Putin and his policies. It is a highly choreographed affair designed to give the impression that the whole country is behind the president.
Meanwhile, Russia's neighbours report long queues at the borders as people leave to avoid being called up to fight in Ukraine.
When Putin has his speech, I just pack my bag.
We'll have the latest from Russia and Ukraine. Also ahead, more than 70 migrants die after their boat sinks off the coast of Syria. Our correspondent is with the rescue operation.
We're now at the Syrian-Lebanese border where some of the bodies just arrived.
Protests continue in Iran over the death of a young woman held by the morality police for breaking headscarf rules. And we'll report from Italy as politicians hold their final rallies ahead of Sunday's general election. Hello, and for all of you watching on PBS and around the globe, a very warm welcome. Officials in 4 Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine have been holding self-declared referenda on whether to become part of the Russian Federation. The Kremlin supports the votes, just as it did after the annexation of Crimea, the Ukrainian territory which was invaded in 2014. But the government in Kyiv and Western countries have condemned the referenda, saying they are just a sham and that they will never be recognised. These are the 4 areas where voting is being held. They include occupied parts of Luhansk and Donetsk in the east and Zaporizhia and Kherson in the south, and cover around 15% of Ukraine's territory. Votes are expected to run until Tuesday, and the result seems almost certain to go in Moscow's favour. Meanwhile, Russia is continuing to mobilise its reserve troops, which isn't going entirely smoothly. With the latest, here's our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg.
It was the moment the Kremlin tried to show the people still back their president and what he's doing in Ukraine. Within days, Vladimir Putin is expected to annex a huge swathe of Ukrainian territory. There's international condemnation. But at home, the official picture is they trust Putin. Many of the people here, though, didn't trust us. When we asked the simple question, why have you come to this rally? There was a certain reluctance to answer. But they had something to say on the subject of mobilization. The call-up is worrying everyone with relatives of fighting age, Natalia says. Not Viera. I'd be much happier if my son got wounded fighting in Ukraine than die of alcoholism